It's early morning here. I mean, not really early, 6:30 a.m.,
I
but
mean, it's still kind of
dark
early
outside.
for like work
Yeah.
stuff.
What time is it? It's 2 p.m. your time
Two
on
thirty, yeah.
Monday.
Yep.
Yeah, 2:30 Monday.
So
Yeah.
it's what but it's like Tuesday for you, right?
Yep, Tuesday morning.
That's
So,
crazy.
yeah, that's all bad. I'm in the future. Thanks, Jason.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is you went last year. You attended last
correct.
year and
Yep, yep,
hosted a
yep.
session. And
Yes, sir.
now you're coming back for a second round. And your session is talking about, well, first of all, introduce yourself. Who are you?
Sure.
What do you do? Yeah.
So my name is Jason Rostar. I'm the corporate practice technology leader at HED, which is a 400 person integrated practice with 11 offices across the United States. So
You're
my
in
focus,
Chicago-ish.
yes,
Yeah.
I'm in the Chicago suburbs. And my focus in terms of the role and the team that I lead is around integrating technology in the practice of architecture and engineering, right?
Hmm.
Advancing the way that the architects and engineer practice, in terms of advancing their toolkits and the ways that they work and think, etc.
So you have to integrate the application with human behavior.
Yeah, yeah. It's not just enough to focus on the technology, right? Like the
Yeah.
technology is the easy part. It's the people that's the much harder part, and getting them comfortable with
Mhm.
change and growth and everything else.
What do you think that is? I mean, you've thought about it a long time. What kind of
Right.
conclusions have you drawn?
Well,
Trying to change behavior.
yeah, you
What
had
motivates
mentioned
people?
last year. I presented the question and the topic around curiosity, right? How do you foster that
Mhm.
curiosity as a professional? How do you get them interested in their kit of parts or their tool sets, etc., right? Like that. How do you get them to think beyond the way that they practiced in the past, right?
Right.
And I kind of think that the topic I proposed this year around motivation kind of goes along that same thread, right? How do you motivate them to work smarter, faster, more efficient, work in a different way than they, or think about work in a different way than they have in the past.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that a lot of firms focus way too much on the negative aspects of a project, right? They very much focus on lessons learned, which are often seen as, well, what went wrong on a project that we,
After the fact.
yeah, after the fact. And so it's like, well, what went wrong on this project and what can we do to be better next time, right?
Right.
And so I
Well,
think
who
that
likes admitting errors? I mean, just straight
right,
out, like, put your hand up. Who did something wrong?
right. And so, and a lot of people are quite uncomfortable with those conversations, right? Because they don't see that what they did is wrong. They see that they did what the best that they could with the information that they had at the time, right?
Nice, nice context. Yeah.
And so I think that it's important to like understand that there's a whole other side of the conversation that's completely missing, and we focus way too much on the negatives instead of identifying the people who are doing good work and highlighting that and using that as an example or a different way of thinking
Mm.
about lessons learned for everybody else, right? Instead of
Right,
what
right,
are
right.
things that went wrong, what are things that went right, and how can we recreate those, or how can we continue to do those over and over and over again.
Yeah, a lot of times you don't know what's wrong until after the fact. You're just
Right,
working. You said, look, I'm doing the best I can with the information that I have, and I've got all of these complete, competing interests. And one of those is I have to have this thing done, you know, today. We have a deadline today. So you do
right,
things that aren't necessarily a best practice, but your Venn diagram says whatever you do has to be done today. We have a
right.
deadline. So you do what, and so what are the, you're trying to change behavior in the context of I have all these competing interests.
Hmm.
It's complicated.
Well,
Yeah.
and a lot of times people don't want to think about it in terms of like I did something wrong, right? And
Right.
so I think that there's a limitation to the amount of growth that can happen when you focus it that way.
Right.
You see this in sports and all kinds of other things outside of the profession, right? Like been a complete shift in, I would say, the 20 years since I played sports
Right.
around, there's a lot of negativity and that's shifted to a lot more positivity, a lot more positive reinforcement of what's going well, in the way that coaches speak to performers and athletes, etc. And I think those same concepts can be applied to the professional realm. So what does that mean? Does it mean just like an attaboy every once in a while? Does it mean, financial compensation bonuses or spot awards or things like that? And so I'm really interested in kind of seeing what other companies and other groups are doing, and trying to see if there's some trends there around ways of
Yeah,
motivating
not
people.
everybody's motivated by some people want time, some people want
Right,
compensation. It depends on, I guess, whatever appeals to people.
right.
Sometimes it's status, recognition. And there's
One of the
something Adam mentioned, uh, a planned bonus is never appreciated as much as a spot bonus,
right.
even if it's a lesser amount. Being
Mhm.
surprised is part of the equation.
Yeah,
So you don't
and
know the answer. The idea is to come and to discuss this with other people
right.
and find out what
Yeah,
other companies are doing as well.
and that's one
Mhm.
of the great things about the events that you're putting on, right? Is that it gives you an opportunity to meet up with other people, kind of just share ideas, and then
Mhm.
it really is an organic conversation, right?
Right,
Somebody can share something that they're doing, and then everybody can kind of like lean that way and dig more into it, or you get a lot of different approaches. Um, and one of the big things that we've been talking about lately within our leadership group is, how do you one of the biggest things that we can give back to people is their ability to log off and stop working at 5 p.m., 4 p.m., whatever works for them or schedule, right?
right. Don't
and
move their
and
cheese when they think they're at that
right,
finish line for the day and they're ready to inhale and start the next whatever
right.
happens the evening. But if you move the cheese at the last moment, it just feels like, oh,
Right. So,
man,
so like, what can we do to help our teams be more efficient so that they can log off and enjoy the rest of their day, the rest of the time with their family, friends, activities, hobbies, etc. Outside of work. Turn that off. Go enjoy the rest of their day, instead of having to stay late and work late, and having that buzz going in the back of their head all the time. Right.
right. That constant distraction because there's
Right.
something else that has to be done. Yeah.
Yep.
Do you think this is something, has this, I mean, I don't know what it was like when you were in, when did you graduate? When did you
I
finish
graduated
architecture?
from Michigan in 2005.
Okay. And did you have all-nighters or did they have
Oh yeah,
all-nighters? It was just part of it.
for sure.
Has
I
that
definitely
changed? Has that culture changed or is it just still part of it?
I think at some schools and some programs it definitely has. I definitely think that
Hmm.
there is this in within our industry, in our profession in general. There's an embodied mindset that happens at the education level that your time is not valuable, right? Your designs
Right,
are
right, right,
valuable, your ideas are valuable, your problem solving is valuable, but your time is not valuable. And I think that factors into how firms manage projects, at an hourly rates, like everything is focused on multipliers. And I think
right,
all of
right,
that
right,
feeds into the idea that as an architect, as a designer, as an engineer, your time is not valuable, and so the expectation of all nighters, of long nights, of working on the weekends is kind of normal. I've definitely
right.
seen a shift as the as my generation starts to get into more leadership roles.
Hmm.
There's been a rebellion against kind of that old school mentality, of that studio culture, I would call it. I'm not sure if that's bled into their education levels just yet, but I've definitely seen a
Right.
shift in the last 10 years that I've at least been at HED around that. And some of the more recent leadership is starting to embrace that idea a lot more too.
Okay. Well, there you go. So we'll have a good discussion. I think we're coming up on 7 or 8 weeks, end of
Yeah.
April.
Yep. Yep.
April, end of April through beginning of first week of May.
Yep.
So see
Down
you
at,
in warmer weather soon. What's the temperature outside
oh
like right
yeah.
now?
Today is actually not bad here. We're looking at 50s all week. So
Oh, good. Oh, okay. Well, it's almost
yeah,
time to go out by the lake and go for a swim.
almost. I mean, if you're a Midwestern, it's basically shorts weather at this point. So
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that'll be great. Yeah, well, it'll be mid 70s or early, low 80s in North
yeah.
Florida in about
Yep.
2 more weeks. And
Yeah.
the
Like
river
that.
doesn't change temperature all year long. It's 72
Right.
degrees. So
Yeah.
lake should be
Hey,
warm.
definitely can't beat the weather down there. That's for sure.
Yeah. Jason, thank you so much, buddy. Have a great
Yeah.
evening. Enjoy
Thanks.
the rest of your day. You're
You
done
as
now.
well.
You
All
can you
right.
can turn it
Sounds
off
good.
and do something else.
Talk to you later, sir.
Yes, sir.